The thing you think is holding you back is probably one of your biggest advantages. What the heck? Guys, if you're just getting started with surplus funds, overages, or you're just trying something new, trying to start that new business, right, or whatever, and you think that there's something holding you back, in reality, that thing is probably a huge asset to you. You just don't realize it yet. Let me give you some examples from my own personal journey, okay? So when I first got started in recovering surplus funds, overages, I didn't have a ton of time, okay? I was working 12-hour graveyard shifts at the prison as a corrections officer, right? But one of the nice things about that job, working at the prison, especially working the graveyard shift, is after about 10, 11 o'clock at night, there's not much to do. So you just have your counts. You go and make sure everyone's still where they're supposed to be. And you do that about once every hour. And then in between your counts, you're just kind of hanging out, you know, unless there's a incident going on, okay? So during that time, a lot of folks use that time to watch videos, read a book, watch YouTube, Netflix, whatever, okay? But that was a time that I utilized to do research, do my research on my leads, do my skip tracing. So the next day I was ready to go and I wouldn't have to spend my free time doing research. I spent my free time reaching out to people, contacting people, making calls, sending texts, sending letters, whatever, okay? Trying to get a hold of folks so that we could do a deal together. That's just an example, right? Okay. Another example that you might face as well, you might say, well, I don't have any money. Okay. I don't have any money to invest in the business or invest in training. That's probably an asset for you because you may have more time than money. And you can use that time to go to auctions, go to tax sales, learn the process, ask questions. What happens to that money after the sale ends? Okay. Some of you might be thinking, well, I'm just one person, okay? I'm a one-man show. How can I compete with these larger companies or these people that have teams and automation, and how can I even compete with that? There is competitive advantage in inefficiency. Let me give you an example. A lot of higher companies, or bigger companies, I should say, they run very efficiently, which is great for them, right? Amazing, cool. That's an advantage. But in some instances, it's actually a disadvantage. Prime example, I had a case once, okay? I've told this story before, but it was an older lady. She was widowed. After her husband died, she let the house go into foreclosure. Long story short, there was about 60 grand left over after the foreclosure, okay? People were calling her, leaving voicemails, the usual, right? Which is what a lot of bigger companies do too. And I had done the same and couldn't get through to her. I sent a letter, okay? Handwritten on the envelope. And she called me one day. And she's like, what's this all about? And I gave her the spiel and she's like, okay, let's do it. Long story short, recovered that 60 grand. It was a 70-30 split. So you can do the math on what I made on that. And I asked her when I was done, I was like, why, you said to me, all these companies were reaching out to you. Why did you go with me? And she said, quote, you were the only one who took the time to write a letter. Whoa. And that moment was a big, there's a lot of lessons to take from that, but one of the lessons was writing letters, guys, is inefficient. It is not efficient at all. But because it is inefficient, if you do it and you do it in a certain way, you stand out from everyone else and you capture that attention. And if you capture the attention, you can do the deal. That's what happened in that case. That's just one example. Okay, so if you're a one-man show, you may not be able to operate super efficient, but there's actually an advantage right there. Sending letters is just an example, okay? Maybe knocking on a door would be another example, or reaching out to people besides the claimant. Like there's other ways to do deals, right? They're not efficient ways, but if it gets the deal done, then who cares? And if you are doing something, or that you have the ability to do something that maybe a larger company doesn't have or chooses not to do because it's inefficient, that's your advantage right there. So use it. And it doesn't have to be that way forever. Right now, I hardly ever write letters now. Hardly ever. But in the beginning, heck yeah, I did. Okay? It's just an example. There are many other examples. So here's the question for you. It's like, okay, what do I think is holding me back? And how can I use that to my advantage so that I can do what other people are not willing to do? Make a list. That's your homework. That's your plan of action today. Okay? All right, I'm going to go. It's really hot. I'm sitting in here with no AC. It's like 90 degrees out, so that's why I'm sweating all over the place. All right, guys. I hope that helps. See ya.